All right, listen here, feller. My name's Caitlin,
My name's Josh.
and we're here to talk about some things that we did this week.
Yeah,
One,
just like really cool stuff that we did that's totally not boring or weird.
totes not boring.
Mm-hmm.
So just gonna dive right in. One of the things that Josh and I did at 2 in the morning was
Yes.
watch an old DCOM movie,
Old being like 2005.
2005. Yeah.
I don't
Uh,
know. That's like that's like prime time decom era. So, but it did happen like 16 years ago. That's the thing.
very true. Um, so let's just. I want to give a quick synopsis for those of you who may not have seen it or haven't watched it in a while. So basically, I'm just going to read from Google. It says, in this thought provoking story, two teenage boys struggle to become friends despite their different racial and cultural backgrounds. Josh has relocated to New Mexico, where his father works in a research lab. Native American Thomas Blackhorse allows Josh to join his group of friends, but the boys will have to work hard to bridge the cultural gap and make their friendship work. So, yeah, our main protagonist, Josh,
Not me, Josh. Another Josh.
has moved to New Mexico and is trying to adjust to his new life. But I just kind of want to get down to the nitty gritty and touch on three main topics within this movie. The first one being, well, let me just make this. This movie has some really, really culturally insensitive things, and not just,
Very culturally
and it's
insensitive.
not like, I don't know. It was just, it shouldn't have been written like that. I don't know. It's just, that's just me saying that out loud. I don't know about you, Josh, but it's just very strange to me.
Oh, there are definitely things that they did in that movie that they could have handled differently.
Well, because like there's writing a character as a certain way to like get people to hate that specific person, like
Yeah, but
being,
if there's a character that's meant to be liked and he's doing things that aren't acceptable
yeah.
in term like what's really going down in the writing room.
And the three things that I have don't pertain to Josh specifically. It's mom, dad, and then the racist hooligans that run amok in the town. You know.
The main antagonists in the
Yeah,
film.
basically. But just to kind of get start this off, the very literally the first thing in the movie, I think it was like not even 2 minutes into the movie. Mom is taking everybody into the store because they just get to town and they're doing whatever, and Josh is like kind of being, his this angsty teen, like, ugh, can't believe we moved to this town, But mom mentions that she was an army brat and she would move around all the time with her parents or whoever, and she mentions that she lived on the islands wherever this was. She didn't specifically say, but she mentions that at least the people in the town that she lives in speak English. Not even 2 minutes in, and we're already in the wrong field. you know,
In terms of like tone, it was just really weird that she said that. Like, at least he's like, I could have been friends with so many people, but they just didn't speak English.
it was very strange,
Like,
and
okay,
it was like,
did you try learning at least a little bit of them, like what
exactly,
what their language is, and then you'd be like, hey, my name's Susan. What's your name? And
yeah,
they could reply back in whatever language they spoke. I don't know to like what they were trying to vaguely refer to when they said the islands,
yeah. I have no
but
idea.
it's just weird. It was just a weird line to like start the movie off with.
Yep. And the next thing that I wanted to touch on was the hooligans that run the town or whatever. They're basically just racist buttholes.
Yeah.
um, they just are your typical teen, antagonist in a Disney movie, that is.
Well, we say typical, but like the whole thing about what like these teens love to do and what like makes them really, really freaking cool, apart from like being able to afford like a $300 bicycle, is that like they love riding bikes.
Yeah.
Riding bikes is their whole identity. So like if you take that as typical,
So basically, they're written to be the antagonist in the sense that we are made to hate these people, and they say really bad things to the people that live in that town, like those people that have probably lived there for years and years on end before they even got there. So,
hmm
that's the second point that was just brought up uh, for the sake of this episode. But one of the last things that I wanted to touch on was in this case the dad. There was a scene with the dad where he had to go. Well, he was driving somewhere and this shop appeared on the side of the road in New Mexico wherever he's driving, and he was like, "Oh, let me go in there." And basically, what happens is he finds a bike for his son because he also likes to ride bikes, and he has to do this race or whatever. But basically, what happens is he uses the term "you people," and
Yeah.
which ding ding ding, not okay, terrible, and it's basically like he was talking to the shopkeeper or whoever, and she was like, "Oh, I know what you're looking for. You're looking for a bike,
Yeah.
right?" And it was
She engaged
basically
in like targeted guessing, where she was
yeah,
just
and it was
pretty much being like, he mentioned his kid. He's like, I'm looking for something for my son.
yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, okay, so it's his kid. Oh, okay.
And if we're
What
going
do
with
kids like to do? Oh, I have a
gender
bicycle."
gender specific quote like gender things, like she probably that was probably to him like, "Oh, bike, boy like bike,"
Oh yeah, it's a boy. He needs something. Well, boys like
he needs
bikes.
bike.
Yeah,
But essentially, what they were trying to come across with this situation was the Native American people there are very spiritual, so they just have this intuitive sense to them that they can read all the people in the room or some thing like that. He essentially what he says was, "I don't understand you people," and I don't know why they had to include that line. It was very strange.
they could have certainly done the phrasing a little bit better
It
for
was
that.
like, "Hey, I don't quite understand your intuitiveness. How are you? How are you like that? Like, why are you so smart? You know?"
Yeah. So how do you? Like, he also brought up the fact that he was a scientist, like
Yeah,
unnecessarily. He was like, "I'm a scientist. I believe in what I can see."
yeah.
But it's just, how do you know this? I don't know,
Spirits?
dude.
What are
And
those?
the lady's just like, dude, I'm just trying to make a sale.
Yeah.
Could you buy something or get out?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about my
Yeah,
thing, though,
Josh
'cause
would
it's
like to
my,
talk
it's,
about something that made us die laughing. Go
this is my
ahead.
favorite part of the movie, and there's literally no reason for it to be in the movie. The main, the climax moment in this movie is that the antagonist leader is challenged to a race over like this perilous track for like mountain bikes and mountain bikers. Over like who gets to be on the reservation, like for the buffalo and all this stuff, because of course the antagonists are making it difficult, blah blah blah. And of course, like, this is just like a word of mouth thing where like it would not hold up in a court of law. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, so a child who does not belong to this land bet that he could give it to another group of kids for some reason because the kids were being assholes. I don't think that's not gonna fly. But anyways, that has nothing to do with my favorite part of this movie. It just happens around it because they're doing this race, and one thing about this movie is that there's a buffalo preservation site all around this land. This lady throughout the movie is just having bad experiences with buffalo. Like, a buffalo in the beginning of the movie hits her car, and she's like, "You need to get these damn buffalo out of here. This isn't why I moved here."
Yeah.
There's another part where like another buffalo gets into town, and she like pulls up with her truck, and she's like, "Oh man, these buffalo," and she like tries to back away, and then like one of the characters pulls up, takes care of the situation by singing "Lean on Me."
Yep.
But finally, the cream, the penultimate moment of this point was the kids are racing on this perilous track for whatever reason they deem necessary, and this woman, it just cuts to this woman driving in a field with her truck, and she just like turns and she's like, "Ah!" And there's a fucking buffalo, and then she's driving like an old truck, and it backfires and it sounds like a gunshot, but it like startles the buffalo, and the buffalo start to stampede, and she's like, "Oh shit, I gotta get out of here," and then she like just fucks off, and then now the fucking buffalo are stampeding towards the town, and she doesn't do anything. She doesn't she doesn't call the police or like the DNR to be like, "Oh yeah, this buffalo, I don't know how." I just didn't understand why she was there. She was in a field of buffalo. Like, she could have been like,
come from this buffalo herd.
yeah, she was so surprised, like, "Damn, there's a lot of buffalo in this fucking buffalo patch right here." Somebody should do something about that. Boom! Like, oh, jeez, I gotta get out of here.
It's strictly like just for plot convenience. There was nothing like she didn't say, "Oh, I gotta get to this race. I'm gonna be late," or "Oh, I
Or
gotta do this thing. Oh shit, there's buffalo."
she wasn't even like established as like she could honestly be just like a veterinarian and just be like, oh, I gotta take I became a veterinarian to take care of dogs, but now I'm taking care of buffalo, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Like that could within the lines of like that movie, it could be probable. However, there was no intro for this character. She just like she got a dent in her truck in the beginning of the movie, and she just dislikes buffaloes. And now she's driving in a buffalo. She's like driving on private property in like
Yeah,
in like Buffalo.
literally.
Like you have to get past a fence to get in there. And she's driving, and she goes, ah,
Where'd all these
all these
buffalo
goddamn,
come from?
all these goddamn buffalo. And it was just random. There was no need. We had to pause the movie and laugh for like 10 minutes about it.
I'm
Like,
not even kidding. I was dying. I was crying by the end of that because I think we had to talk about it for 10 minutes and just laugh our asses off because of how stupid this lady was. Like what was going
yeah,
on in her head?
and how irrelevant it was in the plot. Like it could have just been anything that caused the buffalo to stampede. But they're like, you know what? Let's pull this lady in. Like it was probably like they had her for the day, and they're like, well, we haven't really come up with like how the buffalo stampedes. So let's just
Yeah.
put her back in that truck, put her on the private
Here's
land,
the buffalo lady.
and yeah, and then like and then she's driving her truck, which hasn't backfired yet in the movie, but it's gonna backfire here. And then they just move on. But like just from like a watching standpoint, and of course it's a child's movie, but like it's like, well, why did it go down like that? It's so silly.
Yeah. Can I
But
give you?
that's essentially. Oh, please. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, can I give you a little fun fact?
Sure, go ahead.
The budget for this movie, $5 million.
$5 million.
Yep.
Who did they spend $5 million on? It's probably the buffalo, like buffalo handling.
It was a CGI.
Well, actually,
Remember when they were in that green
yeah.
screen part?
Yeah, there's a green screen part where they're all racing to town to like stop the buffalo, and it's like the worst CGI green screen work. But apparently they had $5 million. I wonder what they blew the $5 million on.
Yeah. I'm trying to see what if it has the money that they made, which I doesn't look
Oh, what they want. Well, the thing about DComs is that they're like straight to television, so they
Right.
didn't necessarily make any money off that movie.
Yeah, it just says the budget. It doesn't give me anything else. So
Because I don't remember there being any Buffalo Dreams merchandise being sold or
Yeah.
advertised. There
Yeah.
certainly could be, but that was pretty much all I had to say about it. That's a good, interesting fact that they had $5 million. I would like to move on to the next thing I want to talk about,
yeah.
which was the Tomorrow War came out this weekend, and I sat down with not Caitlin. I sat down with my mother to watch it.
Let
thought-
it be known that I watched the beginning and then I watched the end. I had to leave
Yeah.
during that, but
Because you had ballet, right?
yeah.
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 So, just out of the gate, I'm just I know there are like critics talking about this movie, and like there are people doing actual analysis about it. For someone who just like likes movies and aliens and shoot gun, I'd say it's a pretty good movie. Like 9 out of 10. I liked it a lot. My favorite part of the movie, which has like no real bearing about how good it is the fact that J.K. Simmons was in it, and I fucking love J.K. Simmons.
Yep.
He was in Legend of Korra. He played Tenzin, Aang's son. He was in like Not My Tempo or something. Never saw it, but I'm sure it's great because it's got J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons. And most people will probably know him as Farmer's insurance guy. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
Or
By the way, we're sponsored by Farmer's Insurance.
no, we are not. We are not.
I'm trying to get us sponsored by them so I can
Hashtag
meet
not
J.K.
mad.
Simmons. Not an ad. But yeah, J.K. Simmons plays the dad, like the grandfather in this movie, and they had a really good plot line being associated with it. And if you don't want to know anything more, like pause it now. Give you 2 seconds to pause.
The video will have chapters, so you can just skip to whatever chapter you want to, just in case you didn't know. So
Keep your technical stuff to yourself, nerd.
just to let you know, to help everybody
Yeah.
out.
Cool. But essentially, J.K. Simmons is like a Vietnam War veteran, and when he came back, he abandoned the main character's family because he was like a different person, and he knew that like it was going to be a bad time. But the son never forgave him. But then the main character, who is the son, realizes that he's basically going to do the same thing to his daughter, so in a different timeline.
Yeah.
It's all time travel stuff, but like it was really interesting to see that transition on the beach, and he realizes why his dad did it, and probably in that moment he probably forgave J.K. Simmons, his character,
Yeah.
for doing that, and I just really liked it. And then they came back and they had like a loving embrace on top of a mountain in Russia. Oh no, they didn't like actually hug or anything. They just kind of like they were like all tuckered out after defeating the
Oh
aliens.
yeah, they
But
were all
anyways,
laying down with that one guy. I can't remember his name.
yeah, the friend who's like he's the head research he's the head department chair for like R&D of like a local power company or something. He's in the movie. He says like they're the Amazon of blah blah blah, and I just kind of tuned out because I was like, oh, get back to J.K. Simmons. But apart from that, we love Yvonne Strahovski in this house as well. We love her in The Handmaid's Tale. She's a very, very good actress, and she plays both her part in The Handmaid's Tale and what's it, Buffalo Dreams. I'm just looking at the list in the Discord. Sorry, she plays in the Tomorrow War that character very well as well, because she's supposed to be like very unemotional because she's and here's a huge plot twist. We're gonna put another warning here, just so if you don't want to hear some big shit about the movie, stop listening. That being said, I fucking called it, because the main character goes to the future after saying goodbye to his wife and daughter, who's very young, and and this future war from the trailer takes place in 30 years. And I was like, the first person they meet is like gonna be like his daughter, and like they get there, stuff goes down. Over the radio, we hear Yvonne Strahovski's voice. And I'm like, oh fuck yeah, Yvonne Strahovski is definitely the main character's daughter in the future, and I was right. But she's also supposed to be very unemotional, because like from her perspective, the main character, the dad, abandoned them after he got back from the war. He died 7 years later. He basically became his father, like just the variations they did on that too. But then like they grow to like love each other, which leads to like the best visual shot in the movie, which was CGI because it's aliens. But like Yvonne Strahovski is like falling into like the ocean and like a pit of like aliens that are gonna like kill her and eat her and all this junk. And the dad jumps down to like catch her, and it like just kind of pans out where like this oil rig where they've been using as a base is like falling and everything's being destroyed. Just a very visually dynamic shot with its color. Like he wants to like pull her back to like he's about to teleport back to the present where he can save her if he can just grab her hand, and he teleports out before he can do it. It was really good, really emotionally yoking.
Yoking.
Yeah, they really yoked. I think that's the proper term. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just parts of the film that didn't seem to be too interesting seemed to be at least worth doing, because there are certainly, like we just got talking about in Buffalo Dreams, like I don't like, sometimes filmmakers will put things in that I don't really understand why is in the film. It didn't really seem like that in this movie. There's probably one part I was like, how are they going to do that? Because they get into like their first mission is to like retrieve a team of like scientists, and they show up and the scientists are dead. But then Yvonne Strahovski's like, you need to get all the data and the samples back to us. Go get the hard drives. But the thing is, it's 30 years in the future, and they're still using like, sure, like they probably haven't advanced past the point to stop using hard drives, but do hard drives look the same? And all these people that they recruited, like I stopped the movie and I asked you and Mom, like, do you know what a hard drive looks like?
Yeah.
And you were both kind of just like, no, not really. And I was like, okay, cool. So these people who are just like average Joes and Janes are expected to know what a hard drive looks like, because they got like 3 days or something worth of basic training.
I don't think
like,
it was even
go
a
get
day.
the hard drives. Yeah, it was interrupted, but they said it was supposed to be a week's worth of.
It was,
like,
and it was just like,
camp.
oh, you've had 2 hours training. Let's go.
You need to get in there now. And then there's a second part to that too, because like of how you mount a hard drive and how sensitive of a piece of equipment a hard drive is. It's almost kind of unrealistic to tell them to get the hard drive, because it's a hard drive is actually a very sensitive piece of equipment, and if you like, even if you drop it from like a height of like an inch just the right way, you can completely render that piece of equipment useless. And they're in a combat situation, and most hard drives are mounted with screws, I think.
Hmm.
And how are you going to take that out? Because they weren't given equipment; they were given like a gun. Like they weren't even given like uniforms. They were just like, yeah, like they went through and they're like, this is a passable thing for you to wear, and it was just like street clothes mostly. And then they were told to find a piece of equipment that they've never really interacted with before, usually, and then they had to pull them out without damaging them, which is like could probably damage the equipment. But it turned out all fine in the end because they need it for plot reasons. But
Yeah.
those were just my questions, like why was that in there? Like, do you have the hex screwdriver that you need to pull out the screws for that model
Do you
type, or
have
no?
the proper equipment?
Yeah, like what's
No, we
going
just
on here?
got blown into the air and kind of crashed into a pool.
Yeah, that was another point too. They fell like far enough into a pool on a skyscraper that like physically you'd basically be hitting cement, and they were just pretty much okie dokie. They got out and they're like, okay, let's do it. Let's get her done.
Get her done.
But that's pretty much all I want to talk about from the Tomorrow War. It was a good movie. Still, I'd watch it again for sure. I'm probably gonna watch it again with mom. Is there anything that you would like to talk about next? What's the next thing?
Well, let's get into Loki real quick.
Okay, the
Um,
new episode that is, right?
yes. So we just watched the new episode on Wednesday, and we kind of just want to go over the things that we liked about the episode mainly, because the big portion of this episode is going to be dedicated to the purge. So, Josh, what's something that you really liked about this episode, or the episode in particular, I guess? This is a spoiler warning, so again, if you haven't seen the newest episode of Loki, go ahead and just skip to a different chapter, or if you want to know about the spoilers, you can listen on.
My favorite thing about the newest Loki episode was actually the end, the after credits scene
Hmm.
where you get like a little sneak peek into what happens next week. Tune
And I
in.
think this is the first episode. Pretty sure it's the first episode that had end scene.
Yeah. And in this one, Loki like wakes up and he thinks he's in hell. The not HE double hockey sticks.
Yeah.
He's an HE single hockey stick. That's the Norse hell.
Yep.
We get a visual of three other different kinds of Lokis. Three, would you call them variations or like alternate Lokis? That's all relativistic.
I guess both of those.
Yeah.
Good
But
terms.
essentially, we've got a Florida Loki. Is just like he looked younger than the other ones, and he was holding like a gator or something. He had like an alligator or like a crocodile. So I think the internet, or at least me, have named him Florida Loki, and I'm very interested to see who he is because I really want him to be Florida Loki. But there's also retro Loki, like from
Oh
like the
yeah.
comics.
I think my favorite was the Loki with the hammer.
Yeah, Thor Loki. I want to. I think I want it to be. Again, I'm projecting here, but I want that to be like the Loki that's most like Thor. So he has his like he has his own Mjolnir
Yeah.
because he's holding that golden hammer, and I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna have like a fucking Thor Loki. That'd be dope as shit. So I just like my favorite part about the episode is the things that I think about in my own mind before I go to sleep.
What's gonna
Uh,
happen?
What's going on?
What's Florida Loki gonna be like?
Yeah, is he gonna be like all wild and shit? Like I want to see that. But apart from that, I like on the opposite end of the spectrum, the torment we all felt while watching that episode, and Owen Wilson was struck by
It
the
was
death wand.
pruned.
Yeah, and we obviously know now that that doesn't necessarily might not necessarily mean what it means.
So
Um,
yeah, we've kind of learned, like, since Loki was pruned as well, we kind of learned like, oh, like, where did he go if he didn't die?
well, because we all thought like you were erased from like reality, like you're no longer a thing, and you like were just like never you like whatever it means to be pruned. Like it looks like you're being erased from reality. Nobody looks like they're enjoyed being pruned.
Well, if you think about
Um,
it, if the time gods or the timekeepers are almighty and whatnot, and they're always like trying to prevent branches from happening from the sacred timeline, like why would they kill people that were probably in some way essential to that timeline? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that's
they
that's
would
the
they would
hindsight look on it.
they
Like,
would be
how can you?
they would be
If it's
creating
very,
another timeline essentially.
yeah, because like
Because we all know what happens to Loki.
well, yeah, because the Tom that they established this in the beginning of the show, where Tom Hiddleston is like he's part of like a very prime sequence of events that need to go down, for them to like save the day.
You mean
But
Loki?
like, who did I say?
Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, Tom
Did you know that
Hiddleston.
Tom
Loki.
Hiddleston is in Loki? Holy
Tom
cow.
Hiddleston is a god. That's what I'm trying to get at here.
He's a timekeeper.
But yeah, so if Loki is like so important to keep around because he's a very major event in another character's life that leads to them having like the proper incentives to do what they need to do. Ergo, Thor, like really wanting to kill Thanos in the manner that he does in the main sequence of the films. So like we like logically now with hindsight we're just like, oh well, obviously he can't be dead. Like this isn't gonna be like what happens.
Yeah.
But I want to know what happened to Owen Wilson. Are we going to see like a Lightning McQueen version of Owen Wilson in there, or like Midnight in Paris Owen Wilson?
Oh my god.
I would love to see that. Marley and Me Owen Wilson.
No.
Yeah, he's super sad about Marley, but they got rid of him because they didn't want it to happen. But yeah, like I just want to see all that stuff. Like, is there going to be an Owen Wilson Mobius character that has the jet ski?
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Or is there going to be an Owen Wilson Mobius character who hates jet skis, and therefore all the other Owen Wilson Mobiuses hate that guy? He's the worst one. He's the worst Mobius.
He's the worst version of himself.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to mention the fact that I just love Owen Wilson in the show in general. I just can't.
Well, I just love Owen Wilson.
I can't get over it. He looks so good in this show. I can't get over it.
I wanna make out with Owen Wilson.
I think the title of this episode will have to be "Simping for Owen Wilson."
Simping for Owen Wilson.
Yep.
I want Owen Wilson to see that and be like, "Wow,
wow,
wow."
But the other thing I wanted to mention was I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was talking about the theory that the time stones have like a relation with the episodes. I can't really remember the specific theory, like how the time stones will like relate to the series in a whole, but they basically kind of talk about how episode 1 was this color and that relates to this stone. So I think it was like, we have the orange stone, and everything in that episode was very orange tinted and orange.
Yeah, there's a lot of color wash associated with that stone.
Yeah. So
and there's also like a thematic thing to it too, where like maybe something goes down. I wish we had that TikTok in front of us. We could just be like, oh, and then this happens.
I was tempted to pull it up, but
yeah,
for the sake of this, it was just a really interesting theory. I will put it in the description, just to reference that and shout out that creator. But I thought that was a really interesting theory, and just never thought about that in general. I just was like, oh my god, Owen Wilson, like so good.
Because we've gone through the orange or yellow stone, and then we've had the time stone. That's the power stone.
Yeah.
So we've had those 3, but there's 4 episodes. What's the color we're missing so we can figure out what the other 2 are? Because we've already gone through the time stone because there was one that was like very green, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the one where we were introduced to Civi as a character, right?
I don't know.
No, we don't know what we're talking about. Just like and subscribe, okay? I just want to simp for Owen Wilson, and I want to meet Tom Hiddleston. Please, thank you.
I think what I remember was orange, yellow, purple. I don't know remember about green, but I remember those 3. I want to say red, but I could be wrong.
The reality stone.
Maybe we did have a red episode.
Shit. Let's just pause this, go watch all 4 episodes, come back, and knock the rest of this out.
BRB, guys.
I saw another interesting TikTok that I can actually remember that like made me realize, I was like, oh shit, they're right. Because in the end credit scene, this is just a callback, I just really like the end credit scene. Loki like kind of wakes up or like becomes conscious and he's like, am I in hell? And HE single hockey stick here.
Yeah.
And it was mentioned in this TikTok that I didn't think about, was that in Norse mythology, people who die without showing like bravery in combat or something like that, go to hell with the single
Oh.
hockey stick. And so essentially, when Loki wakes up, he thinks he died a coward.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was you're just like, oh fuck,
Oh, Loki.
Loki, no,
Loki.
Loki. And it was like 2 a.m. I was drinking, and I was just like, oh my god,
Oh my god, Loki.
what the fuck? Listen here, guys, we're gonna take a quiz, and we tried to find one that was like Loki related.
Okay, yeah. So both Josh and I Googled which Loki character are we, but nobody has really made. Well, actually, there's been a few, but they're not BuzzFeed quizzes, which are the top tier quiz
Yeah,
taking
and we're a
platforms.
BuzzFeed family in this home.
Because we like pictures and not words, okay?
Yeah, and we like to criticize the quiz afterwards because not all BuzzFeed quizzes
Because they
are
don't agree with our
really thought out.
views. They don't know us.
Yeah, BuzzFeed really gets me.
All right, how about you start us off?
All right, the first question is first, pick your favorite Thor trilogy character. We have Thor, Loki, Odin, Jane Foster, Valkyrie, and Darcy Lewis.
I'm picking Darcy.
I'm also picking Darcy.
So hold on,
I love Darcy.
Is Darcy Lewis in like that specific name? Is that the name of the character in WandaVision?
Yes, it's the same character.
Okay, I just had to make sure because I was like, is she playing two people?
What's going on here? Why is Kat
What's
Dennings in
going
this
on
thing and then another thing? Yeah, I'm gonna pick Kat Dennings.
So the second question is pick an Infinity Stone: power, space, mind, time, reality, or soul.
So here's the thing. Caitlin and I are fake Marvel fans. We don't actually know explicitly what these stones do, but I know one thing: the Space Stone can teleport you, and if I want to go somewhere else, like if I want a vacation in Montana or Canada or somewhere in Norway or Sweden during the wintertime, I'm going to use the Space Stone and save myself about $1 trillion. So I'm picking that one.
Well, let me tell you, I know what the Time Stone does.
Yeah, it rewinds time. It doesn't move you anywhere.
What
Silly
does
bubba.
reality do? You can like create
Wait,
realities or
yeah,
something?
you can like alter perceptions. So I could just like reality can be whatever I want it to be. Oh god, I'm gonna pick reality stone. I'm gonna pick the reality stone.
Okay, well, I'm gonna be
I'll tell you what
different.
I'm thinking, but
I'm gonna pick space.
so stupid. Such a memey thing.
What
You're
were you
picking
gonna
space.
think?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I spoke over you. I picked reality. Pick a Marvel villain you'd want to see reformed. Does that mean like they become a good guy?
Google reformed.
Yeah. Hold on, BuzzFeed. Stop all
Hold
the
on, Pat.
clocks. Define reformed.
Hold on, guys. We gotta define a word real quick.
Having been changed in such a way as to be improved, having relinquished in a moral, criminal, or self-destructive lifestyles. Okay, so if we want to see these people like have like an arc where they're like, I'm a good guy now.
Hmm.
Do you want that to be Thanos,
No.
Hela, Ultron, Agatha Harkness, Eric Killmonger, or the Grandmaster?
Okay, so real quick, before I pick, I
Mhm.
thought this was just like pick a Marvel villain. I didn't read the rest of it,
Oh my
and I was
God,
like,
Caitlin.
oh my god, Jeff Goldblum right now.
Jeff Goldblum. Yep. No,
But
I think I'm gonna go with
I-
Eric Killmonger. I think I'd like to see him like be
Yeah,
like a
he's
changed into
I'll-
a good guy, and he like becomes like the top warrior for like Wakanda.
Right.
That'd be really fucking cool.
I was thinking Eric, Hela, or Agatha, but now I don't know.
Oh, so many thoughts, so many wants. I'm just
Well,
gonna go with
I don't
Eric.
want to. I don't want to be the same as you. Is the thing.
Well, we're not the same because I picked the Reality Stone and you picked the Space Stone.
I know, but this is question 3, and we're essentially picking the same thing.
Well, shut up.
I'll go with Agatha. Pick your favorite non-Loki Tom Hiddleston character. So we have James Conrad from
Oh,
Kong, Skull Island. We have Thomas Sharp from Crimson Peak. We have Adam, Only Lovers Left Alive. Jonathan Pine, The Night Manager, The Great Escapo, Muppets Most Wanted, or No Tom, Only Loki.
So listen here, feller. I might want to meet Tom Hiddleston in real life, but let me tell you, I don't know anything about his career. I know him from the Marvel movies,
Yep.
and that's basically it. There might be like another project that I can't think of right now that I've seen him in that I liked him in, but let me tell you what, I just,
I'm
Long-
gonna do No Tom, Only Loki.
yeah, tall, dark, and handsome. I'm going to go with The Great Escapo because it's a Muppets movie, and I like the Muppets and Tom Hiddleston, so there we go. Pick your least favorite original Avenger. We've got Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Thor, Hulk, and Hawkeye.
I don't like this question.
Why? You have to pick between all your babies?
Yeah.
Because I already have an answer.
Are you gonna pick Hawkeye?
No, I love Hawkeye. What are you talking?
Oh.
Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner.
Sorry, I think a lot of people don't like him, so I was just wondering. Sorry.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's
I like
okay.
the,
I love him.
I like the work that Jeremy Renner does.
I'm
Sorry, go ahead.
gonna pick Thor.
I'm gonna pick Hulk. You pick Thor? What's wrong with you?
You pick Hulk? What's wrong with you?
Because I don't care about Big Smash Man.
Okay, pick the decade you were born in.
We're 90s babies.
Yeah, that's
90s
why I was
kids.
gonna say. So
90s kids be like, take this quiz. Pick a Loki quote. I only ever wanted to be your equal. An ant has no quarrel with a boot. Trust my rage. I have been falling for 30 minutes. Your savior is here. The sun will shine on us again. I'm going with I've been falling for 30 minutes because that was
Same, I'm
fucking
picking
funny.
that too.
Yeah.
All right.
Pick the Guardians. Oh, sorry.
Gosh.
I'm
Pick
sorry.
the Guardians of the Galaxy character you'd most want to hang out with. Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, Groot, or Mantis.
Fuck.
I'm pretty sure we're going to pick the same person.
Well, here's the thing. I would like to hang out with this person, but like all these characters are going to be too high energy for me, except for Groot. Like teenager Groot just like wants to sit around and play like the Switch. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do that, dude. But like, oh, go ahead.
Nope, you go ahead.
Oh, I want to say Drax or Rocket.
I was going to pick Drax.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Rocket then.
Okay.
Rocket's gonna be like, do you want to go commit some crimes? And be like, are they gonna be fun crimes? He goes, I don't know. He always has like the best stories. He's always like, oh, because like remember when they were fighting in Infinity War, and he was fighting with Bucky, and he was like, how much for the arm? And he's like, it's not for sale. How much for the gun or whatever? I thought,
Yeah.
I think he's just like a good character.
Fair.
Pick a non-Marvel franchise: DC, Harry Potter, Mission Impossible, Jurassic Park, X-Men, James Bond. Easy question.
What are you picking?
Harry Potter, of course.
I'm going to pick Jurassic Park. All right, finally, pick the Marvel character you'd most want to see cameo on Loki. Thor, Scarlet Witch, Captain America, which is previously the Falcon, just so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's Anthony Mackie's.
Yes.
Captain
Doctor
America.
Strange, Spider-Man, or Phil Coulson.
Easy question, but I want to hear your answer first. It's an
Man, I gotta
easy
think
question.
about it for 2 seconds.
Caitlin, this is easy.
I'm eliminating, okay? Process of elimination.
There's no elimination. There is only the one.
Oh my god. Scarlet Witch.
Yes, correct. But you also failed because it took you so long to realize that Elizabeth Olsen was the correct answer.
Oh my god, that's true. Alright, do you want me to read first, or do you want to go first?
Did we even talk about what the question was for this, like what the prompt was for this quiz?
Yeah.
What? Okay, cool. As long as long as
pretty
the
sure we
listeners know. I got Thor Ragnarok Loki.
Oh, so did I.
Oh, cool. I'm always cracking jokes, having fun, and looking out for more number one. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. However, when the going gets tough, you always do the right thing. Sheesh, yeah. So we're like the best
Sheesh, yeah.
version. We're like the best version of Loki because like he's like now a reformed person. He's no longer like a bad guy. He wants to repair stuff with his brother. That just before he fucking dies, he gets killed by Thanos.
Oh my god. I will link this quiz into the description, so if you want to take it, whoever's listening to this, it'll be there for you. And let us know what type of Loki are you.
Yeah, comment below.
Maybe we did have a red episode.
Shit. Let's just pause this, go watch all 4 episodes, come back, and just knock the rest of this out.
BRB, guys.
I saw another interesting TikTok that I can actually remember that like made me realize, I was like, oh shit, they're right. Because in the end credit scene, this is just a callback, I just really like the end credit scene. Loki like kind of wakes up or like becomes conscious and he's like, am I in hell? And HE single hockey stick here.
Yeah. And
it was mentioned in this TikTok that I didn't think about, was that in Norse mythology, people who die like without showing like bravery in combat or something like that go to hell with the single hockey stick. And so essentially when Loki wakes up, he thinks he died a coward.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're just like, oh fuck.
Oh, Loki.
Loki, no.
Loki.
Loki. And I just like it was like 2 a.m. I was drinking, and I was just like, oh my god,
Oh my god, Loki.
what the fuck? Why did I see that with my eyeballs?
I want to unsee something. So Josh and I had the pleasure of seeing Forever Purge. Well, do you want to just give your opinion real quick, and then I'll give my opinion?
I think it's a bad movie. Full stop.
I also did not enjoy this movie. It is the weakest one of the series.
Yeah, for sure. It's like the worst Purge.
Now, I will give them, like, the acting was really good. I will give them that. We had some pretty good actors. Josh Lucas was from Glory Road. He was also in this movie. He was one of the main characters. Grandpa, Will Patton, was his father. And he was also from Remember the Titans. So those are, like, owned by Disney. So I was very surprised to see those two in this movie. And they did a fantastic job, I will say. Along with all the other actors like Anna de la Reguera. Sorry, I murdered that. But I loved her, and I also liked Tenoch Huerta. I think that's how you say his name. Anyways, what did you want to say, Josh?
My problem with this was that it wasn't necessarily like the main idea that the movie was trying to get across. It was just that I was expecting a Purge movie, and I didn't really get one because I don't want to say shock factor, but the Purges kind of had like the past Purges kind of had this. I'm just gonna say it like a shock factor where you watch it and you're like, dude, this is fucked up. Like
yeah,
like when we watched the third Purge movie the night before, and there was that guy who like runs up to the like that little not medicine thing. It's like a minivan. I don't know what kind of car that is, but it's basically an ambulance for the Purge night. And he's like, Purge. Yep. Like, well, I remember seeing that when I first saw it in the theaters with you, and I was like, holy shit, that guy's fucking crazy. And then he gets shot with an arrow. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yep.
I just don't remember any of those points at like in there. I guess the from the movie itself. The torture trucks they had, I guess, is the name for them. But they didn't really do anything with it. They just kind of had the character. Her name's Rosa, right?
Her name is Adela, the main girl.
Adela just like look through a scope and like kind of see with like night vision. What's going on, and they're being tortured. And I felt like it. I was like, whoa, that's like really fucked up. But I wasn't like, yo, that's really fucked up.
Right.
If that's a valid point I can make about a Purge movie.
For me, and you might have a different opinion about this, but personally, I just think that like, they had like three different times where they tried to have like a main villain. I feel like one of the movies has had one main villain where they try to get away from, but different storylines. This one just had, I feel like, a little too many, because there was the guy in the beginning who worked on the ranch.
Yeah, the ranch hand.
So he was one of the villains who like was getting his revenge. And
he was just gonna purge. Like he was just gonna purge the boss and his family.
And then we have the one at the end of the movie. Wait, what did he do?
Oh, he was a member of the Forever Purgers.
Yeah, he was. He was avenging his wife, girlfriend, sister. I don't know really. She just kept calling her mother.
Each other.
Mommy and daddy.
Yeah, like the woman called him daddy, and then the bad guy was like calling her mother. So I'm guessing they probably weren't related by blood, that is.
But all in all, I just kind of was like, okay, there's that guy. Oh, he's gone already. Okay. Oh, there's that guy. Oh, they're gone now. Okay.
We got a terrible duo. She dies. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But for me, that was just kind of like, okay. But I do want to mention this. Too. I was very quiet, and I apologize for while you were talking about the Tomorrow War. The reason why I was really quiet was because I was reading reviews about the movie, and I was just kind of looking at
Tomorrow War?
No, about the Purge.
Oh, okay.
About the Forever Purge, and a lot of people hated this movie, rightfully so. Some of the reviews I don't really agree with, but mainly I understand like it's the worst Purge movie out of the series because this is number 5.
Well, here's the thing. I love the idea that they had for it. It was such a solid idea. Because, like, the Purge brings up a lot of, like, hypothetical questions that you could certainly pontificate on. I think I'm
Hmm.
using the right word there, pontificate. They started off strong, but like you said, it's almost like it had like an identity crisis thing, where like
Right.
a big thing about a movie is that we have like an identifiable bad guy, but in this one, it was more. I guess that could have been what they were going for. It's like an establishment thing, where it's like there was just a bunch of people just wanting to be very racist around the
Yeah.
country, and then they all like got in each other's DMs and were like, "Oh, how about after this purge, we just like take over the United States and start attacking people that we don't like for very silly reasons."
Yeah. Because when I was reading some of these reviews, there's a lot of ones and twos out of 10 stars, which is crazy.
Yikes.
I don't ever see like reviews like this on a movie specifically. Let me just find one that made me laugh earlier. So if you want to say anything while I look for this, go ahead.
The hypothetical questions that I was talking about is like, if I decide to go out on the purge night and I steal money from a bank, but those are marked bills, can the bank just come out and be like, well, he stole this on the purge, so that's no longer legal tenure? Like, that's just a thought about that. Like what's the logistics of like the laws behind this? Because from what I know from the movies, it's just that like a certain level of politician is safe, and you can't use like
Yeah.
explosives or firearms above a certain grade because they don't want there to be too much damage. But you could just like you could think of 1,000 questions, and theirs was a very valid one, but certainly they could have played with it a little bit more.
I think you can probably catch on by now, but Josh and I are kind of like avid Purge watchers. These movies are just like we sheerly watch them because they have that shock factor, and that's why they are what they are. So like that's why we like them. We own these movies, right? So we watch them occasionally, and then it's just like, well, what if this happened? Like we just think about the logistics a little too deep. Probably some people's
Yeah, like
opinions.
like what if you committed like insider trading? Like purge starts, you call like your boss and you're like, "Hey Jimmy, what are we gonna do with this stock here tomorrow?" And he's like, "Oh, thanks for asking, uh, Tim. Uh, we're gonna sell 400 units or whatever stock market things do." And then he goes cool, and then he hangs up, and then he calls like another stockbroker from a rivaling firm, and he's like, "Yo, I got some information to give you regarding what my boss is going to do. Wire over $800 million because you'll
Yeah.
make about $2 billion off the trade if I give you this information." Like, what's going to happen to that guy like the next day? Like, are they gonna be like, "Oh, you like the company's gonna? Can the company fire him?"
Yeah, and we've
It's a
had a
very boring purge question, but it's still valid. Like, you're like, "Hey, you committed insider trading. We can't trust you." And be like, it's the fucking
Yeah,
purge." Like if they fire him, can Jimmy get a lawyer and be like, "This, they fired me for like no reason,
right. So
so
this
they owe me
this is what I'm
$3 million
saying.
dollars."
How we just look into the logistics a little too deep, because then it's like, well, do they have little clauses or little like fine print text about the purge in certain situations of going to court about certain things?
Yeah, because like you could kind of construct like a gang of people who just do like high end crimes
Hmm.
that because usually like purge movies like they like usually boil down to like just murder and like robbing people. But like, what if you just got like a room full of like software developers, and you're like, "Okay, boys, we're gonna hack the government and we're gonna fuck some shit up," and then
Yeah.
you just do that, and then like maybe like the plot could be like the government sends like a kill squad or something, and then you just have a bunch of nerds, and then there's like that one guy who's been in like two purge movies. He's like, "We gotta get out of here."
Yeah. Well, let me say this. I kind of want to bring up what we've talked about, like in our own universe about this movie, in the sense that like middle class people in the Midwest. Do you remember having this conversation?
I
Kind of
don't.
like we've had conversations about how like, well, what do the people of middle class in like smaller towns do? Like
Oh yeah, I do
essentially
remember
where we
this now.
live. But
Yeah.
like before we get to that, I want to talk about the reviews. So remind me of that point, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So general consensus of this movie for most people is to save your money. Don't even waste your money going to this. And I can kind of get on that point. Like just
Oh
wait
yeah.
until. Wait
That's
until
what I
you
would
could
tell.
rent it for like $3, okay?
Yeah, that's what I would tell my friends and family who haven't seen it.
So
Like, nah,
yeah,
don't do it.
the
Don't
three the
spend $30 to see this
right
movie.
the top three reviews that stood out to me. The first one was hopefully the Purge movies don't go on forever, and that's what made me laugh because it's
Yeah,
called the Forever Purge.
yeah, the Clone
So
Wars.
I thought that was really funny. I didn't read the actual like review because it's like 3 paragraphs long, but
Damn.
essentially I do agree. Like this better be the last movie because they just drove it into the ground. I
Wow.
understand. I understand like what they were going for because in the third movie, election year, is all about that woman trying to become. Well, she's senator right now, right?
Yeah, she's a senator, but she wants to become president to end the purge.
Okay, so she essentially wants to become president. She wants to get rid of the purge because it's terrible, as everybody knows. Then we have the fourth movie, which is the first purge. So it's like
Yeah, that
we
one
get a
was really good.
sense. Yeah, that one was pretty good, and
It's probably
we
my
get,
favorite.
we get a sense of like, well, why did they make the purge? Like how are they constructing it, and like what are the logistics? Like what's the point? Very good. But then they also came out with a TV series. So
Yeah,
it's
which I
like at
still
one
haven't watched.
point, like what else is gonna happen? Because like everybody knows what the purge is. Like what else is gonna happen in this universe? And then we have the Forever Purge. So it's like, okay,
I think it would be interesting to see a point where that society would kind of like develop into like we like, 'cause, it's like a classic like thing where like they always want to project that onto other people. So maybe these like anarchist purgers like kind of come together and they're like, let's just spread purging to the whole world, and they just start like they start purging in like Canada or Mexico
yeah,
or like the next nation that they can get to, and it's like kind of like an infestation kind of thing where they just kind of move to the next place,
right.
and like the people that survive from those countries are the ones who like embody purging. I think that would be like it would be like Purge World War, and then like
Oh,
I think I would watch that.
international.
Yeah, International Purge.
The next review that I saw was absolutely terrible. Walked out, and then
Wow.
that just makes me laugh that this person bought tickets to see this movie, bought some food, and they were like, "I've never walked out of a movie," and here we are. You know,
I wonder if it was maybe they didn't agree with like a lot of the a lot of the discourse that was written into the movie regarding like racial relations or
yes,
just
and that's
like
actually my
some of that
next
kind of stuff.
point. Since you brought it up, I was going to say another general consensus about the low ratings is basically because it's so political,
Mm.
and they're like, "Oh, this is so anti-America," and it's like, motherfucker, do you know what's going on right now? Like
Well, I just
to
my
just so I can just
go
put this
ahead.
out there,
Sorry.
it's kind of comparing itself to white supremacy. That's what I essentially wanted to say. But this is a fake universe, and that's what that's what all the founding fathers created about. That's why they wanted to do this. And that's why they're like America sucks, or for some people are like, oh, America's great because of the purge or whatever.
The reason why I want to think about that comment is like they don't really want to have that kind of media in front of them is because it's been in a word like an exhausting year when you like,
That's a fair point
but
because like a lot of people say that about COVID. So
and that's certainly an opinion you can have, but I think it's a very good plot point for a movie where it's just like, yeah, well, what are you going to do when like a lot of these people who are in this world are given this right to do whatever they want
mhm.
for a day, and there's like, well, why, if we can do whatever we want, why don't we just do that all the time? I was surprised they didn't do it on the purge night because then they would have like a legal leg to stand on. But that just goes back to like what are the laws surrounding the purge? Because like if you can do anything, can you commit civil war? Because I think well, actually, in a big selling point about America is that like it's kind of written in our foundation of society that like we have the means and the right to go against the government. So I guess they didn't have to do it if you would go with that.
Mhm.
But like I was just waiting for it to happen on purge night, and then like they walked into that like compound and they were all fine. They just next day is when they did it. Like
Time to
they're
move
going.
on.
Yeah, like I thought I saw like a butcher or something. Like he was just going to work and he got like shot or stabbed or something. Like, oh
Yeah.
fuck, that would be me. I'd be going to my minimum wage job. Like, oh thank God I didn't die. And then like somebody like rolls up in a fucking bunny onesie. And I'm like, shit.
Oh God.
Oh jeez. Come on, guy.
Come on, I just get paid 11 hours a day. 11 hours. Jesus
I
Christ.
get paid 11 hours a day.
A day. I get paid $11 an hour. Leave me alone, guy.
Or maybe it would be like a situation where like that guy from the Twilight movie and those two like Eastern European dudes are like sprinting at him, and he's like, "Finally!" and they just kill him. It'd be like that.
Finally.
Please
uh,
do it.
yeah. Well, let me bring up the last review that kind of stood out to me.
Hmm.
And it's actually, they say it's the best Purge since Anarchy, which I think is the second movie. And I'm sorry, I don't agree with that.
What happens in Purge Anarchy?
The bodyguard from the third movie,
Oh yeah, I remember this. I remember this
and
now.
he
Yeah,
protects the couple that are stupid, and then the mom and daughter who are smart. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
And then
So
they end up in like a Thunderdome situation
yes.
where
So
like a
that's
bunch of rich people are like,
that's
"Hey,
it's,
$20 million
yeah, to kill these people.
to kill these people," and then they bring in Leo. That's his name in the movie. They bring in
Yeah.
Leo, and he's like I think his character's like ex-military or something, or
Right.
he at least knows what he's doing when it comes to those situations. He's just like, no.
This review surprises me because I think the best Purge movie is either the third one or the fourth one.
It would have to be the first Purge. That one was so good. I think they did a really good mix because it kind of feels to me that early on in the Purge movies, it was more about like violence and shock factor, but then
Hmm.
they also had like little dribbles of like story surrounding that as well. But then when they got later on in the film series, they were trying to add more. They're trying to kind of flesh out the world. Like you're like, oh, these people are like really crazy because they're super into it,
Hmm.
and the founding fathers have actually been in establishment, man. Like there's all this stuff going on where they're adding stuff, and I think the first Purge had a really perfect mix of like really good characters, good plot devices,
Hmm.
and it added a lot to like the story of all these like the chronicle of like the Purge world. I think it did all those very well, and it just had like really good action in it as well.
Well, one of the things that I liked about the first like four movies is like, and this kind of contradicts or goes against the reviews of why people hate this last movie, is because of the politics behind all of these movies.
Hmm.
Because it's like the whole reason why the Purge is created is because they want to rid or just make the percentage of unemployment and crime be like below a certain percentage or just be none.
Yeah,
And in one way to do that, which is a really effed up way, hence the series, is to get rid of all the low income or poor people that cannot protect themselves. And that's why that's like an effed up factor of the series, which makes it a good series.
and like we saw in the Purge election year, they were also using it as a tool to kind of squeeze out middle class business owners because the big thing that happens to Joe apart from dying in that movie is that his insurance people call him like at 4:30 of the Purge, and they're like, "You're gonna have to pay about $10,000 more for Purge insurance."
Give us
So
money.
obviously
No.
his business is ruined. He's like, I can't financially come back from that. Like
Yeah.
that's fucking stupid. Like so I like that was like a really cool like kind of drop they put in there too. Where it's just
And
like,
that's
yeah, they're
why
using this to like fuck over like just hardworking people. This guy just wants to run a store.
this is why the reviews confuse me because like that's essentially what's going on in that movie, at least the third one. The second one, that's kind of similar because we have mom and daughter who are kind of on that low income spectrum or just probably middle class.
Which movie are we
They
talking about?
The third one. No, excuse me, sorry, the second one. So we have,
Oh yeah, it's that lady. Oh yeah, and she has to get like medicine for somebody.
yeah, for her dad. And so like
Yeah.
that they're in the same situation Joe is in from the third movie, in the sense that they just don't have the best security for themselves because they can't afford it. And
Yeah.
the daughter, if you remember, she is like, oh, have you heard of this guy? He's like, he's in this thing that like is trying to get rid of the Purge because
Oh yeah. Yeah.
he knows he's woke because he knows that they're just getting low income people or poor people. And so these it just doesn't make sense for the reviews over here for this last movie.
And he ended up being a character in the first Purge, right? Like that's the same character. Or am I misremembering things about
You're
that.
the guy, the face of this group, whatever they're called in the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same guy. I think the guy you're thinking of is involved in this group that he is in,
Because his
but
name's like Dante or something. Is it like
Dante Bishop, I think, is his
Dante
name.
Bishop? That's what
And
it
so
was.
he's kind of like sprinkled in the background for that kind of organization, but the face of this organization is somebody else.
Yeah.
But essentially, what I'm trying to get at is like the politics behind, the family in the movie 2 and the situation with Joe from the third movie, like they're essentially the same from the Forever Purge, in my opinion. Is that not correct or incorrect, would you say?